Strength through will is how we can reverse the perversion of values that have been instilled in you, in me, and all our brethren, insidiously through generations of ancestral oppression. Though it stood with as much superhuman endurance as anyone could, it left a deep impression. Invisible scars that have caused us to devolve into a state of unconsciousness so malignant, we've nearly forgotten we're not a problem to be solved. We always been the solution they seek to dissolve, with the illusion of ties that bind us to a system that blinds, of most vicious design, which is to free no man. Only together, through sharing of wisdom, can we heal the wounds of division, forever sealing that evil incision, and finally deprogram.
Where we learned from it, and we had to realize that we definitely didn't want to be in that position again. So the next few years, we only had to travel once over the next few years. So we definitely learned from that experience.
So going into the next year, y'all have an even better year going into the next year.
Yes, sir.
Let me see. I want to, because I go to the state every year. Let me see. So that would have been Orlando's senior year, the year we just spoke on, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the next year, I don't know if you remember the record, but I know y'all had a pretty great team that year.
We did. We did extremely well. That second year was Tipton's senior year.
It was him, one of him, David. Who else?
So the him, David Moore, and Miles Cothran were the seniors that year, and we did well. We gave the ball over to my guy Kentrell Evans, Duke. He was a
shout out Duke. He was at the point.
Yeah, he was at the point, and he controlled the show, man. And he did a really good job doing it. Led us to the state. We lost in the first round of the state to the eventual champions that year.
Was that CPA?
Yeah, it was CPA. We lost to Braxton Miller and Tiger Campbell.
Yeah, Braxton. At that time, I think his name was Braxton Blackwell. He changed it. He changed it to Braxton Key.
Yeah. Well, he changed it twice. Actually, he changed it twice.
So now something else.
Well, before it was Key, it was something else.
It was Blackwell.
After that, it was like Miller or something to that effect.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know what's up with that guy, but yeah, he changed it a couple times.
Yeah, because I think he won, correct me if I'm wrong, he won Mr. Basketball that year.
He did.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
So y'all playing against basically two D1 players.
Definitely. They tried to say Tiger was in the 8th grade at the time, man, but he looked about older than me out there, man. and he could really hoop. So yeah, they gave it to us pretty good that day.
So before we go into that, let's talk about the competition on a regular basis in the district. I know the district has changed a little bit.
It has.
But you, on a normal basis, y'all play, you play your Howards, you play your Taetaeross, you got Central, East Ridge. Who am I leaving out?
Red Bank.
Can't forget about Red Bank.
Yeah.
So y'all, am I tripping, or do y'all have one of the toughest districts, or had, I know the district in the state of Tennessee?
I don't know if I would say the state.
I mean, one of them. I ain't saying.
No, yeah, definitely one of them. Because West Tennessee is tough all across the board.
Yeah. That's why I said one of the toughest.
Yeah, but definitely East. Outside of West Tennessee, Memphis area, definitely we had the toughest district for the last maybe 4 or 5 years. Definitely. All of our competition is pretty much equal. As as far as their skill set and their ability, man. So. And then they can't get past being friends to actually get out there and compete for real. But yeah, it's definitely tough, man. I call Taeta Howard, sometimes Red Bank, sometimes Central, the Bermuda Triangle, man. Because if you can get through there, you can make some noise in Murfreesboro. Yeah, definitely.
So let's see, y'all go. Speaking of making some noise in Murfreesboro, y'all go up there. Well, y'all missed 1 year. Orlando's That was his senior
year.
Then the year after that, y'all go to the first round.
Yes, sir.
So, correct me if I'm wrong. That next year was a very special year.
Man, don't make me cry on this interview, man.
Hey,
I still that next year was when we felt like everything was, for the first time, it was we were where we wanted to be. We made it to the state finals, and we were extremely excited about it, man. And if I'm being totally honest with you, which I try to be honest all the time, going into that game, you couldn't tell me we weren't going to leave with the gold ball. And that was probably our downfall. Like we knew we were going to win the gold ball that day. With everything that transpired throughout the season, on and off the court, we really felt good about that day, about that game, about that season, and just came up a little short.
Man, you know what's crazy, man, about that year? I felt like that year, it should have been. I mean, we can't go back and. But
I already know what you're finna say.
I'm gonna say it. I'm like, yeah, y'all weren't playing in the game that I'm finna speak of, but you gonna know. Mm-hmm. So I get my tickets every year for state. So I'm looking at the competition. I say, hey, it should be, and it very well should have been, Chattanooga Central versus Chattanooga Brainerd in the state championship game.
You are absolutely right.
Because I'm looking at it. Take no credit away from the team who did win it, Knoxville Fulton. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, looking at the competition and even the playing of the game, I'm like, bro, ain't no way. Somebody from Chat got to win something.
Yeah. So that day was weird, and of course, we found out more about it as it transpired. But it definitely should have been a Chattanooga final. I still mess with they old Coach Rogers about it. I would have beat him. I tell him all the time we would have beat him because he beat us 2 times that season already, and then we beat them in the tournament. But I respect those guys. They did a good job. But it definitely should have been a Chattanooga final. But that Fulton team, man, they had a why that year. They really had a focus, and they really had a purpose for why they were playing. They had lost a teammate, I think maybe 2, going into the season. He got murdered.
Yeah, I remember that.
So they were really, really, really focused on the task. So yeah, they just beat us off total grind that day. Man, you gonna make me tear up on him, man. That should have been a goal, man. But I'm glad we got blessed. We got blessed that year.
Cause one thing y'all did, and I don't know, y'all the only team in a recent 10 years. I know at least 10 years to bring even a run up back here.
Yes, sir. Now don't quote me on this.
I'm just talking about basketball.
I know. So yeah, I was going to say I believe that Brainerd is the only school that has a ball. The only public school that has a ball, either gold or silver. So
in TSAA or period.
In Chattanooga and TSSAA.
Okay.
Now I don't know what it was before that, but I've heard of Howard championships, but I don't know. I'm not old enough to know that part of the history.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have heard that Howard maybe won some. Riverside's no longer open, and schools like that. But schools that are currently open, I believe Brainerd is the only program.
Yeah, as far as, and we talking about basketball.
Yes, sir. Basketball.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cause man, I'm looking at. I mess with Taetaeross all the time.
Oh man.
So I'm sitting. I got my little reserve seats, and during the game, y'all, I think it was the 4th quarter. I'm noticing the transition of the game. I'm like, man, all they gotta do, this me. you know how people, I'm one of them spectators, everybody do it. Man, all they got to do is do this. Because I felt like once y'all was in man, they couldn't do nothing.
Right.
So I even asked Tay, I said, bro, why y'all just didn't go man? And he was like, man, I tried to tell him, but I was like, bro, I understand you got to do what your coach say do.
Yeah.
And you got to live with it because to even be there is an accomplishment in itself.
Right. So the funny thing you mentioned Tay, because when I think about that game, I always think about him. By far one of my most favorite kids that I've coached ever. I love that boy to this day. But going into that game, and I don't know if you like, sometimes I go back and watch it. Took me a while to go back and watch it, but once I went back and watched it, I noticed every time, like Tay was bawling, crying during the introductions of the starters. So I already knew that his mind was like, it was there in the moment, but it wasn't in the emotional state he needed to be to be the dog that he was that year. Tay was player of the year that year for our city and should have been Mr. Basketball. But that man was bawling, crying, and I joke with him about it all the time, man. Like you kind of like, I'm talking about snot, everything. Like he was bawling, crying, man. So when you talk to him next time, remind him of that. Like he was a big crybaby before the game, state championship game.